Today we're going to be learning about single crochet, and in this video and in all my videos I'm using the American definition of a single crochet. I have some worsted weight yarn, I have a 5.5 millimeter hook, and I'm also going to be using some stitch markers. So I've started with a chain of 7, and to make the first single crochet we're going to work into the second chain from the hook. The first chain from the hook creates the side of the row, and I prefer to work into the dashes on the back. So I'm going to turn our work slightly. You can see here's the first dash, here's the second dash. That's the one we're going to work into. So you take your hook and insert it under that dash from right to left, and for the first few times you might want to turn your hook over and just verify that you've got the 2 legs of the V on the other side of the hook. You can also see here's that chain that we skipped. So from here, yarn over and pull through the first, just through that dash, and then yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook. That's your first single crochet. Let's repeat that. Insert your hook under the dash, yarn over and pull through just that stitch, yarn over and pull through both. And then we'll repeat that all the way down to the end of our row. Be sure to pull your stitches all the way up onto the barrel of the hook when you create them, and be sure to leave enough space when you create the stitch. Make it loose enough that you can easily pull your hook through. And now that we've finished our row, the easiest way to count our stitches, and I do recommend you count your stitches at the end of each row until you really get the hang of it, is to look at the top of the stitches, and you can see that same V stitch, V formation that we had on the chain stitch. So we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got the correct number. And because single crochet are a short, dense little stitch, I find it kind of hard to count the rows. So what I would recommend you do until you get the hang of it is at the end of every row, just put a stitch marker in anywhere that the stitch marker easily sits. And then at the end, you can count your rows that way. So in order to do the second row, we need to make 1 chain so that it can become that edge stitch, just like the one that we skipped when we began. And this is called a turning chain. We do only 1 with single crochet because a single crochet is approximately as tall as 1 chain is tall. And then we'll turn. And then our first stitch goes under the 2 legs of the V of the last stitch completed from the previous row. So insert your hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through both. And you want to get your hook under both legs of that V every time, unless maybe you're following a pattern where it specifically asks you to do otherwise for purposes of the pattern. So we'll go ahead and complete this all the way to the end of our row. Actually, I'm not sure I got both legs of the V there. There we go. We'll put a little stitch marker in the end to help us count our rows later. And we'll turn and make sure we have 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That last one's a little bent around my finger. So another thing that we're going to learn about today is increasing and decreasing. So to start our next row, again, we'll chain 1 and turn. And let's do our first stitch as normal. And then we're going to increase. Let's say we're making a pattern where we need to have more stitches on this row than we originally did. So we're going to do a single crochet increase, which is also called 2 single crochet in the same space. And that is just what it sounds like. We'll do the first single crochet into this space just like regular, and then right there in the same space we'll do a second one, and that's a single crochet increase. We'll do that again. We'll do 1 into the regular next stitch, and then a second one right in the same space. And then we can continue along to the end of the row. And so we were having 6 stitches in each row. We just added 2. So we'll want to count this row after we put in our stitch marker and make sure that we have 8 stitches. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're in good shape there. So now let's do a turning chain and turn. And on this row, let's do decreases so we can get back to just 6 stitches. So I've made my first stitch as usual. And decreases are also called 2 single crochet together. So what we're going to do is take these 2 stitches and decrease them down to just 1 stitch. And to do that, we insert our hook, yarn over and pull through, and then stop at this point with the stitch only partially made. Then we go to the next stitch, insert our hook and yarn over, and now we've got 1 stitch from each of these 2 plus the stitch, our working stitch. So we'll yarn over and pull through all 3. And then you can see that we've got the 2 stitches there, but only 1 stitch in the top of the row. So let's do that again. Insert your hook, yarn over and pull through. Go to the next stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through all 3. And then we can complete our row as usual. And then we should have just decreased back to 6 stitches. So let's turn and verify. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if we wanted to count the rows that we've made, because we're working back and forth and the stitches look different on the front than the back, and this is a little condensed stitch, it's kind of hard to see your rows. And so until you get to the hang of counting them, I would recommend that you use the stitch markers like this, or maybe every other row, make your own method so that you've got this backup way of counting. And then I just want to show you a quick finished sample. This is a little single crochet square that I made that I pinned out so that you could see how the stitches look. And then here is one, a little triangle I made by starting with just 2 stitches and increasing. And then this one, sorry about that, is a triangle that I made by making several stitches and then decreasing. So there's a little sample of the skills that you've learned today.